one. And live from Long Island, New York, it's us. It's us. It's Love, Death, and Taxes. Hi, Agnes. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. How are you?
I'm well
You know,
today.
actually, I feel fantastic because yesterday I feel like I gained extra week. For some
What?
reason, in my mind, Thanksgiving was next week, and I was like stressing in my mind, how am I going to do everything on time? And then I realized, oh no, I have an extra week. So yes, I
I
gained
have,
time. So I'm very
I
happy.
have to tell you, you're so right about that. And maybe that's the reason. You know what? Maybe that's the reason nobody's talking to me about business right now because they think they have the extra week to do it. I didn't even think about that. But you're right. It's so long. Normally, it's like the third weekend in November. But for whatever reason, this year, 2024 being a leap year, so we got that extra day or whatever. But we're also pushing our Thanksgiving to the very last weekend. Thanksgiving, Small Business Saturday, that's my big holiday. Black Friday, of course, and Cyber Monday and Giving Tuesday, all pushed all the way to the end of the month. In fact, Giving Tuesday and Cyber Monday are in December, which rarely happens. And so, yeah, I'm not surprised, but I guess I am. I'm recognizing now that that could be an issue. But
It's
to,
the stress of the holidays upon us.
yes, it's
It's
here.
already
It's
here.
coming.
Yes.
Today's the 15th, so you're midway through November, people. Did we talk about this last year? How do I feel like this is a new conversation that we've never had before? But yeah, it's coming, guys. It's coming. It's coming. Mariah Carey is thawing out right as we speak. Love, Death, and
Queen of
Taxes.
Christmas. Queen of
Yeah,
Christmas.
yeah,
Yes.
exactly. A whole different deal. We're going to be talking about relationships. That's basically what this show is about. It is about relationships, and we're going to talk about the post-election 2024 fallout from for relationships. Whether you're talking about between a significant other, like a husband and wife, your boyfriend and girlfriend, between parents and generations, or between business people, or even amongst friends, right? We'll get to it in just a second. Welcome to Love, Death, and Taxes. What? Welcome again, ladies and gentlemen, to Love, Death, and Taxes. Yeah, I had my coffee right before this show. All right, so
Very good.
so yeah, I don't have to have to get any more. You'll get 20 words you thought from before that I was a New Yorker who talked fast. I'm definitely a New Yorker who talks fast today, which very often is not the case with Jamaicans, by the way. Jamaicans very cool, laid back, don't talk that fast, except if they come from rural parts of Jamaica. Because some rural parts of Jamaica, people talk real fast. And you're like, what? I'm from Kingston. And I'll be like, what? What did you say? I have no idea.
To untrained ear, yes, the way Jamaican speaks it. Ta-da-da-da-da-da.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there is a staccato to the way they speak. Yeah,
yeah.
it's like they're beating a drum and they will speed up or slow down. It's just like reggae. It's the same. It's the same thing. It's like they're like making a sound. So have you had any relationship fallout, any weird relationship situations happen because of the election? And as I'm asking you the question, I'm realizing that you kind of do, but you may not be able to talk about it. Go ahead.
No, I can tell you that 4 years ago, I definitely had one, yes.
Yes,
And
yes.
throughout years, I had with close family members, different
Mhm.
discussions. Yeah, this year I avoided that because there's another thing that I'm doing in my life, which is cutting out toxic people out of my life. So
Yeah.
that's another story. I'm old enough to realize who is not healthy for me. So um, My lights went off because I have them on on the timer. So I'm gonna be
you.
doing
Your
this
your
stuff.
thing is going well. Yeah.
Uh, so yeah, this year we didn't have that. Thank God. So see, it helps. It really helps to cut out toxic people out of your life, to not to have unnecessary problems. But I have noticed that after the election, there was a lot of posts on Facebook. Oh, doesn't matter what, who you supported before, the friendships and family members, family relationships should not be hurt by that. Because
Right.
yes, politics are politics. That's the way I always looked at it. Everyone, that's the beauty in this country, that we have freedom. We have freedom of
Right.
speech, and we have freedom of to say what we want and how we feel, and that we should agree to disagree. That should not ruin relationships. That should not ruin relationships. I think this is the most horrible way to ruin relationship with anybody, because I keep
You
repeating,
imagine.
although you take a stand, you go and vote, you support this or that. At the end of the day, none of them will come and ask, "Hey, are you doing okay? What can I do to improve your life?" I never had anyone coming to knock into my door and asking that. I'm sorry.
I
So
will tell you, nobody on the presidential level, nobody on the senator level, whatever. I have had the town of Babylon supervisor actually come to my door and knock on it. He happened to live in the same neighborhood that I lived in. I moved in and he came and knocked on the door. Weird guy. But that he and most of his administration I consider to be outliers. They are not normal politicians. They do things on a local level. And he will tell you that too. He said, all politics should be local. He'll say that. And I'm like, what do you mean? And I understand what he means. In a Facebook group today, there's apparently a gas station that has netting around the top, the eaves at the top of the gas station. Apparently, it has netting around it, and some birds got caught in the netting. This is here I think it's in North Babylon along 231. And someone noticed that the birds are getting caught. There are at least two birds caught in it. They went into the Facebook group in the town of Babylon and wrote up this whole thing about how they think that this shouldn't happen and then where are the nets, and they feel bad for the birds. And this guy shows up in the Facebook group because someone tags him and says Rich Schaefer should see this, and the guy shows up in the group and he starts to list all the things that they have done since they heard about it in the morning. They went and they inspected the business and they gave him citations for the birds. They gave him citations for the netting. They gave him citations for all these different things. And then he's like, yeah, we're taking care of it. Don't worry about it. And all these people are like, whoa, because they did not expect him, number one, to do it at all, but then to do it like that. And by the way, he's a perfect example of how people don't pay attention to these so-called relationships that you have with these parties. I forever, because I'm living in Suffolk County, thought, and how conservative he was, I thought he was a Republican. Get to find out, no, this guy, not only is he, I hope I'm not blowing his cover now, right? Not only is he a Democrat, but he is the head of the Democratic Party in Suffolk County. And yeah, and I was blown away with that. I was just like, but he moves and talks so much more like a Republican. But what he is a moderate. He's common sense. He doesn't do crazy. You know what I mean? He just, let me just come and do this. People need me for this. But
I'm sorry. Are you trying to say that Democrats are doing crazy things?
I'm sorry,
Gotcha.
but
Gotcha.
I think sometimes they go out of their way to prove certain things of their agenda that people don't necessarily want or that people don't necessarily care about. I think in this election, people cared about the price of milk and cheese and blah, blah, blah. And I think they went overboard on this, on the abortion thing and the other things. As it turns out, by the way, that doesn't even come in many of the states where women overwhelmingly voted for Trump. As it turns out, they also had on the ballot the thing for abortion. So they could vote for abortion and vote against Kamala Harris by going to Trump. So they kind of split, they held two ideas in their mind and split their votes. So that hurt her too. It's very interesting. The more I look at the numbers, I'm just like, whoa, this is very interesting.
Also, they were running ads about that option A or whatever that they called it. Yeah, and that was not only about the abortions. That was about
trans things
and the kids being going under treatment without parental
can I tell you this?
Things like,
but see, that what's weird about that is it's not the Democrats who were actually talking about that. It was the Republicans putting it on the Democrats, and they didn't pay enough attention to debunk those things. Like, I know they're not that crazy. I know they're not that crazy. But
let's hope not. Yes, I'm with you on that.
They're having abortions in the 10th month. I'm like, what?
After birth abortion,
after
ordering a human being. This is a murder. I never heard of any, but anyhow. Yeah.
Wacko. But you need to, even though that sounds crazy to you and I, somebody needs to say, hey, that's nonsense, and refute it, because that is the thing that I learned from Bill Clinton. I'm sorry, what a horrible person. But I learned from Bill Clinton that you always respond, no matter what. In fact, it was Hillary who was explaining it. She's like, you always respond. You have to respond. When people are attacking you, you can't shut up and sit down and just be like, oh, that's stupid and nobody's going to pay attention. You have to respond, because if you don't respond, it gets stuck to you. Anyway, let's talk about relationships. And this is one of the first things I saw, how a Harris girlfriend and a Trump boyfriend handled the aftermath of the election, right? Agnes, what do you think they said in this article? It's from Pop Sugar.
Did they broke up?
They did. They broke up. And there are many people who are saying the same thing, that they break up. And they start thinking about one another in different terms and in different ways that they hadn't thought about one another in the same way before. And so, yeah, I guess they did. In that particular thing, they broke up. But the article goes on to explain that there are many women who, especially women in college, who are saying they feel like they're not secure anymore. And I think some people are overreacting, but I think there are some people who have a valid point, that they feel like the country generally doesn't necessarily, it's not choosing a woman. It didn't choose. Again, second chance we had, and we did not choose a woman. What do you think about that?
From my experience with people that I know, definitely the first overwhelming feeling was like, who are you? How can you support a person who, 1, 2, 3, the list of their sins, you can go, how can you support a person like that? This is just outrageous. And if you are for him, then I just don't want to deal with you.
Right.
But then I came to a realization that this is not from 1 to 10 that
Yeah.
that person is supporting.
Yeah.
I had to take my time just because I wanted to. That I understood why certain issues were important, like illegal immigration to people that are close to me, that was very important. Like, high prices that were important, not his personal sins,
Right.
which the first thing that was like, oh my God, you're supporting him, so therefore you have to be you like him, like it's like, I don't want to have anything to do with you then.
Right.
um
Right.
but that's not from A to Z. There's a certain issues that they are simply close and important to that person, to friend of mine,
Yeah.
one or second, or a family member. They are not supporting 100% the lifestyle of that person,
Right.
or his personal sins or his personal choices.
Okay.
This is simply one or two issues that they are for.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I do understand the first reaction, because I had myself. It's like, oh, I don't want to talk to you if you are, supporting that person. But then you have to separate the personal life of that person from the party.
Yeah.
Although with that particular person, there is a danger of, because he showed before, the executive orders and everything. So he already separated himself from the party at certain point. Now
Yeah.
that it's not really a Republican Party, it's a Trump party. So
Yeah.
there, there is a moment with it will stop me, and I will catch my breath and like hope for the best. So just because we've been there, we've done that, and now we can be surprised, and we heard what was said on several occasions, so we can't act, oh my God, what happened, because
Yeah.
he's extremely honest, and he doesn't BS anybody. He tells you exactly, he's from the get-go, this is what he wants to do, so no one can pretend that, oh no, he's not going to do this. Surprisingly, I do listen to some of the on Facebook, the reels and all that from Poland, and one of the priests was reading a prayer,
Hmm.
and he's asking everyone during homily, and he's asking, do you know who wrote that prayer? No, it wasn't this pope or that pope or this is saint. It was Trump after the shooting, and I'm like, oh my God, are you kidding me?
Yeah, I think everybody finds Jesus after you
Yeah, I don't believe for one minute that
no.
that happened. Someone else wrote that and said that
Or
that.
him. David exactly. Exactly. It's not a guy who knows how to pray. He does not. I think he thinks he's beyond God. He is God. I
So
don't
yeah,
necessarily
so
think
but the propaganda continues.
yeah,
But
yeah.
we are drifting away from the subject.
Yeah. Well, I will say to you.
For the love of institution, you know.
All
But
right. So that's between like a significant other. That's got to be hard, right? You go, you come back, and I can't believe. I would find it difficult to believe that you sleep beside someone, you eat dinner with them, you do certain things with them on the weekend or whatever it is, and you don't have a conversation about who you're going to vote for. You found out on election night that your boyfriend or your husband was like, yeah, and you didn't know.
that's the whole thing. You have, in marriage or relationship, the understanding, the tolerance, the respect has to be there. Otherwise, there is no relationship, right?
Yeah.
So you should not accuse your better half that they are exactly like I said. The personal life of a person has to who's being voted in. It has to be separated from the issues that they stand for. And we simply cannot, out of respect for the person that we are with, we cannot accuse them. Like I said, although I done it myself for a moment, but then like, hold on, I spent all those years with that person, or I know that person because it happens with friends, or other family members. Like I know them for so many decades, so I cannot accuse them that they are just like that person, because again, personal life and professional life and the issues and subject that they're important to a lot of people. You have to give them that understanding.
I see what you're saying. So you're saying that just because they voted for Trump doesn't make them Trump-like, but it does bring into question, in my mind, do they believe the same things and want to go with the same agendas that he's going with? And if those agendas seem to personally affect me, then yeah, I might be a little annoyed with that person. I don't necessarily want to sleep beside someone who wants to control my health or whatever it is. It's an interesting quandary.
You know
Let's
what?
look.
A lot of people that I met, they had issue with immigration and inflation.
Right,
They ran. They voted him because of that, of those two
right,
issues.
okay,
Not, and I think they are scared, just like everybody else, when it comes to other things, like you mentioned, health, or environment, or
right.
unemployment, or there's a lot of different things that they vote more for the devil they know instead of a devil they
Ah,
don't know. To me it doesn't make sense, because I think in life we should take stand for something, not like I'll see, maybe, uh, let's hope. I don't believe adult people change. I don't believe in that. They are who they are, especially when they are in like 80 years old. That no one is changing. So
perfect segue. Perfect segue. Nobody's changing. People are different. This is when, for young people who are struggling to deal with their Trump supporter parents, and they added on it again. So this is like Teen Vogue, and they're basically saying, yeah, that's another issue. You have this relationship where you might even be living in your parents' house. And they're like, yeah, we're big Trump supporters, and we watch Fox News, and you watch MSNBC, and it's a whole different thing. What do you tell a young person who is living with their parents? And I've actually seen this happen too, where some 20-something-year-olds or almost 30-something-year-olds are talking to their mother, who is in her 50s or closing in on her 60s, and it's very different thought process about what happened. Again, you're right. Sometimes it's about what you're seeing on the news and what thing you're grasping onto. Because, yeah, if you're watching Fox, you're more concerned about immigration than you are concerned about your personal. Oh, especially with the age. If you think about their age, young people struggling to deal with their parents. Yeah, your parents have
they're our
already,
age.
yeah, and they've already had their babies or their children. They're not going to have to worry about that whole issue, women's health issue. They're not going to be worrying about that anymore. So unless they're worrying about it for their children or for
For
their,
their children and grandchildren, I do not want to see generations coming after me that they will have less rights than I have.
absolutely.
you know so especially, like, I noticed, like, I'm a little bit different. I have I developed very thick skin, so as hard as I get that, I give it back, and it doesn't bother me, because I just simply accept it as part of life, especially at workplace. When there is any kind of situation that other women will sit and cry, I will turn that around, and I simply come up on a top in the situation. I don't allow myself to be a victim. That's just not my personality. But there are women that they are not allowing themselves to be victim. They're simply more sensitive, and there's a lot of problems. Women have to fight for the rights. They have to fight to achieve what they want. It's not easy to be a woman, and but beside that, it, in my my situation, I simply decided that we are not discussing politics at the dinner table,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
because I don't feel personally that okay, I will listen to what you have to say, but if someone is having difficulties keeping their cool, or they are too aggressive talking about it, or it's turning into an argument, I
Got it.
am not. I refuse to argue about politics with anybody. I will
Yeah.
hear you out. I will definitely respect your point of view, because, and you know what? It makes me proud that younger generation is passionate about something, that they want to stand for something, that
Right.
they have principles. That's beautiful.
Right.
That's really beautiful. But that should not be a reason to argue, to injure relationships, especially close relationships as parents and children. So that should
Yes.
come from both sides.
Yeah.
They cannot keep their cool. They're not able to have a reasonable and respectful conversation. If that turns into an argument, just shut up.
Yeah.
Don't talk about it.
Yeah,
Why?
don't disrespect me. Don't disrespect me. And don't insult my intelligence either with your nonsense or your inability to understand what has actually happened or what happened. Don't tell me things that clearly you didn't think through. I have difficulties with. I hate it when someone. I'm sorry, but I do really, really just. And I will disengage and just not talk to you anymore if I feel like you believe that I would be swayed by the stupidest of arguments that you really haven't, either one, you haven't thought them through, or number two, you think I'm gullible enough to believe it. And then you're shouting at me or screaming at me or demeaning. We're not going to have any more conversation. That's just
No,
going to be.
no, that cannot contain something like this. There are, I truly believe, and I practice that in my life, that I can approach anybody about anything, and I
Right.
can have conversation about anything and everything by using the right tone of
Yeah,
voice and right words. You
exactly.
have a problem, let's sit down and talk about it,
Right.
not argue about it, not
No, no,
shout at each other. Let's talk about it. If you are
okay.
not capable of that, if you do not know how to keep your cool, we're not going to speak.
Yeah, you don't
Simple as that. We better walk separate ways. And everyone has their point of views, based on either their education, their life experience, their knowledge that they gather from friends or media, or that is satisfying, that okay, that's enough for me to know that I don't need to research that any further, and I'm going to stand for based on that what I heard,
exactly.
which is all great. If a person is satisfied with that knowledge and they are ready to take the stand on an issue, fantastic.
Right.
Go for it. Do your
Absolutely.
what makes you
Do
feel
you?
happy. Yes, do you exactly. But don't expect someone who is from different generation, with different life experience and a lot more experience, um, to exactly to see through your eyes. Every one of us have their own path in life.
Yeah.
We walked different roads, and we met different people that they help us simply evolve and shape our point of views. And a lot of different issues became dear to us personally. That's how our principles are being based.
Absolutely.
And so a lot of people keeps forgetting that, oh, no, you should be looking at this from my point of view. You should be looking through my eyes. You should be
Yeah.
agreeing with me
Or
because any now, then you are, and there's
There's
otherwise.
that. But then there's also the other thing where they feel as though, from what they heard in the media or whoever else, based on their, and this is a form of prejudice that people don't even realize sometimes that they have. There are times when I've gone out and interviewed people, and guys actually look at me, and yeah, they were drinking a little bit, but they're saying it because sometimes alcohol is truth serum. Turning to me and was like, uh, you you don't talk like a black guy. And I'm like, what did you really expect a black guy to sound like? We don't come in different shapes and colors and sizes and accents and whatever. That doesn't make sense. And in the same way, the conversation before the election was, oh, black men are all going to go and vote for Trump, like he's losing because they're going to vote for him. And it ends up, it's like 77% of black men actually voted for Harris. Now, we can also talk about the fact that she seemed to have lost about 10 million votes. So she didn't have as many votes as Biden did. So there might have been a bunch of people who just didn't vote at all. But from the black men who did, 77% of them actually voted for her. So, and that whole conversation about, oh, no, they're gonna go vote for Trump because he's more for the economy and blah blah blah. But if you know what I know, if you pay attention from my experience, you would have difficulty doing that because
Yeah.
there are just issues. There are issues between Trump and black men, and no matter what people tell you or what you have heard, we've heard what he said, and we're not deciding to just sweep that under the rug. We are not idiots, and you just say to yourself, "Nah, that doesn't make any sense at all. We're definitely not doing that." But I think we're coming to the end of our show. We hit last week was big. I had to chop that up. So
Okay.
so 32 minutes. And ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed this show. Agnes, do you have any final words for our lovely audience before we head out?
I took a deep breath and I advise everyone else to do the same thing. Take a deep breath, keep your fingers crossed, and let's hope for the best. That's the only thing that we can do.
I have to tell you, I feel as though what has happened the first time I felt like this was a wake-up call for the nation, and it was good for the entire country to decide, hey, let's look at ourselves, and there's a better, you have to have contrast in order to actually sometimes recognize that something is happening. Like if everything is just about the same and moderate, you can, but when you have a deep low, that's when you really appreciate the highs. And I feel like we just had to be kicked in the butt again, and that's what it is. We didn't learn our lesson the last time. And here we are again. And I've restarted what I had put down for many months, um, meditating again, uh, going for walks again, just handling my life in a different way because it's healthier for me that way, right?
You have to take care of yourself first. You have to help yourself first before you're going to start helping anybody else or even worried about everybody else.
There's a
So
lot of
yeah.
gratitude to go around, and so people
Yes.
want to be grateful for all the things that you do have. The fact that we can even talk about this here is an amazing thing that we are grateful for here in the United States. And I hope to see you guys out on the street doing whatever. send in your emails at mailbag@lovedeathandtaxes.com. I'd love to hear what you think about the episode. If you do have tax problems, woo! So we're gonna have some tax problems, boy. And taxresolutions.com is where you go, where Agnes will take care of you with no judgment whatsoever. I hope you definitely like and subscribe. We're here on YouTube. We're over on Facebook. We're over on LinkedIn. Uh, Keep on looking out. It's usually around this time, Fridays, around 5 o'clock. You are going to be looking for Love, Death, and Taxes. And I hope to see you again next week. See you next week. Same time, same place. All right. Take care, Agnes. Bye
Okay.
bye.
Bye.